Well, good Friday morning to you. I'm Scott Shelby, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. This is Market Day Report, and we're all wound up here. A little pep in our step, getting ready for a three-day weekend. Let's see how the markets have treated us overnight. And you know what, folks? There really wasn't a ton of action going on. Just to be a little bit of a spoiler, but let's take a look at corn and see that it was up 0.75 in July to 464 3/4. We didn't even have there wasn't even a 3-cent range. Okay, so we're about 1.25 off the low, but right in the middle of the range. 0.75 cent better there. Decent was up 2 ticks, half cent to 487, and that was in the middle of a range that was not even 3 cents either, so just under. So that's what happened in corn. So the answer is what happened in corn was pretty much nothing. We had a little bit of a better board on soybeans, much the same again, 1 3/4 cents better in that July at 1241. We had about a 7 1/4 cent range, and 1241 is 5 cents off the low and 2 1/4 from the high. So that'll give you an idea where we sat there. No of the new crop. That was actually down 2 ticks, a half cent to 1215 and a half, 3 cents off the low, and about 3 cents, 2 3/4 cents off the high. So smack dab in the middle. So there, two for two, and not much going on. How about the Chicago wheat market? Well, that was down a little bit more. July overnight was down 3 3/4 cents to 694 1/4. We lost the 7 handle. We did get above it. 704 3/4 is the high. I guess you could say a 15-cent range in a night like last night was okay, but we've been doing 30 cents, so who knows? But 694 1/4 last July wheat in Chicago. Go out to the D sets down 3 3/4 cents to 734 3/4, and that had a 14-cent range, and we're about 4 3/4 cents off the bottom of a 14-cent range. How about that? Moving from Chicago wheat to the hard red in Kansas City. Got to flip the switch here. It's a little higher here, 4 1/4 cents better there. 715 is last in July overnight. We've had a 10-cent range, and we're right in the middle of it. It was 715, so we're about 4.5 cents from the low and 5 1/4 cents from the high. All right, Dees, that was up 2 1/4 cents, 744 3/4 is last, and you can kind of tell, folks, there really isn't a ton going on. Move from hard red Kansas City to the spring wheat. That's a little bit better here too, 3 1/4 cents better in that July contract to 747 1/4. That's 3 cents from the high. I'm going to call it about 3 1/4 cents from the low. All right, so that's also smack dab in the middle. Dees was up a penny and 3/4 to 770 3/4. All right, so pretty much so far everything following suit of not much happening. And here we go. Cotton only down 13 points in that July to 81.59. We've had some decent moves to the upside there. We want to see Dees in the 80s. Right now it's down a point. 78. No, now it's up a point. 78.63 is last there. All right, let's bring him in. He's the one that kicks it off every day, it seems like. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Thanks for being on. Good morning. And happy three-day weekend eve. What are your thoughts here? What are the machines telling us? What's going on? What's top of mind?
Hey, good morning, Scott. Yeah, it is a 3-day weekend. So the reminder, no trade Sunday night or all day Monday or Monday evening. It's going to be very cold open on Tuesday, and that probably is going to produce a lot of volatility after a weekend. So even today, I think, the volume, as you mentioned, was really slow overnight, especially like in corn, just a 3-cent range. I do expect that's going to pick up as we go closer to the closing bell. A lot of positioning ahead of the 3-day weekend. Plus, you have June options going off the board today, and those are fairly widely traded from the report just 2 weeks ago. You do some short-dated options to kind of take a look at what the report was going to say, what the weather was going to be like. So they're increasing in popularity. They're going to have some influence on today's close. Some of the news is pretty limited this morning. IGC lowered their world production estimate last night. They lowered the Russian wheat estimates. So, that's given us a boost in some of the wheat contracts overnight. There's a lot of spread trade we've seen in the wheat. Buenos Aires Grain Exchange bumped the harvest in Argentina for soybeans up to about 78%. Corn's still lagging. It's only 28% harvested there. So those are some of the news that's kind of affecting the markets here this morning, but it's very limited. No private export sales. Yesterday we saw us get a sell-off on soybeans because of the lack of a sale when there's been rumored all week that China's buying beans. And so it's going to probably put some pressure against those July beans once again, just the lack of that confirmation as we had rallied, I think on Wednesday, double-digit gains, kind of anticipating we'd see some export business. We gave a lot of that back yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people. I mean, I felt like at least the livestock yesterday kind of checked out early. I feel like now the grains are kind of checking out a little bit. Maybe it gets a little squirrelier. Maybe we get a little more volatile going into the close today. But I don't expect the volumes to be huge. Even the traffic was real bad going home last night, which means I think a lot of folks were getting out of town. And I just don't expect too much as far as anything with any meat on it today. But that doesn't mean we couldn't be volatile.
Right, and I don't think you see any major moves here in the first several hours. It's probably in that last 30, 40 minutes of trade that the volume could pick up a little positioning ahead of the weekend, and then some of that option expiration kind of get delta neutral or get some positions established if those options do expire that you have. That's what I'm looking for, is just some position very late in the day and not much activity until then.
All right, stay there, and we're going to go away and need to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions, and we'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back. This is where we talk about the livestock and we talk about what happened in it yesterday, right? This is like a newspaper, yesterday's news. Let's see, take a look and see what we did in live cattle. And we'll get back to our guest analyst and see where things look like they're going to be opening up. But we've got a live cattle board that's was down 65 cents on the close yesterday. June closed at 183.52, which was only about 32 cents off the low of the day, but we didn't really have a big range either there. Nothing to get too worried about. Deese was down 42 cents to 187.82. Feeder cattle, you asked? Feeder cattle, you get what they do yesterday. They were $1.45 lower, a little bit more than live cattle. August was closed at 261.45. Nove closed at 262.87. That was down 80 cents. And then finally, lean hogs. Let's see what lean hogs did. That's down 87 cents on the close there in June to 94.52, while August was off 52 cents to 97.02. Let's bring him in, the Swami of livestock, Mr. Brian Hoops. What are the machines telling us there, brother?
Well, we're looking at a little bit follow through, a lower opening on follow through selling from yesterday's close. So not bad, but you're going to look at June maybe down 5 to 10 cents. The rest of the month's a little bit more of a sell off, maybe 10 to 20, 30 cent losses on the opening here in those back months. So the cash trade came in yesterday, $1 higher in the Southern Plains, 187, but in the North, we're trading 192 on a live basis. So that's at least $2 better. There's a disparity between Northern cattle, Southern cattle of about $5. And its reason is there's not as many market-ready cattle up north, from what I'm being told, and they're paying a premium for those cattle. On the negative side, steer weights are still way above last year's numbers. So we're looking at 30 pounds heavier than a year ago, 923 pounds, near record levels. Of course, that's negative longer term for this cattle industry. We have a cattle on feed after the close, cold storage after the close. That's at 2 o'clock Central Time. That report looks to be friendly, so I don't think you're going to see any type of a major sell-off in the cattle market today. Maybe a lower opening, some buying interest, a lot of chopping around, but with anticipation that that report's going to be somewhat friendly. But boy, you have a long time to react to it until Tuesday morning.
It's like the old days, right? Cold opens. I like them. More opportunity, a little bit of volatility, and I have a lot of great stories about standing in that pit for some cold opens. I should tell you sometime, but we'll save that for. We'll do a show called Tavern Talk, and we'll do it at your favorite place. But anyway, I digress. It's a Friday morning. Let's say goodbye. Thank you very much, Brian. Great to have you. Great to have a good 3-day weekend. Bring it back here to Nashville. I'll say good morning to Suzanne.
Good morning, Scott.